verses 14 to 21. Let's start the timer here. And they had forgotten to take bread, and did not have more than a loaf in the boat with them. And he was giving orders to them, saying, Watch out, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the leaven of the Herod. And they began to discuss with one another the fact that they had no bread. And Jesus, aware of this, said to them, Why do you discuss the fact that you have no bread? Do you not see or understand? Do you have a hardened heart? Having eyes do you not see, and having ears do you not hear? And do you not remember when I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many baskets full of broken pieces did you pick up? They said to him, 12. And when I broke the 7 for the 4,000, how many large baskets full of broken pieces did you pick up? And they said to him, 7. And he was saying to them, Do you not understand? So, here we are. Remember, we are literally coming off the feeding of the 4,000 at this point, and we are now continued forward in this progression. And now, yesterday we saw that the Pharisees, and they were arguing and they were testing Jesus. Now, as they get in the boat and as they leave, Jesus says, "Watch out for the leaven." Now, what leaven was, and again, not like yeast. Leaven's a little bit different. Yeast, you get the little packet, it's dry, you throw it in water, mix it up, throw it in the flour, and poof. Leaven, what it is it was a portion of the previous bread that was had already risen. It was leaven, and so you take a little piece of that, little lump, and you take that and you throw it in your next batch, and it would leaven it, and you do so on and on perpetually. The problem with leaven, and one of the things that we see throughout the Bible and throughout especially this use of the leaven metaphor, it's good, but when it sours, when it spoils, everything else it touches spoils. It has the ability to come in, and if you have a spoiled lump of leaven, even this little bitty bit, it will permeate the whole next loaf, and the loaf after that, and the loaf after that. You have to start over. And this is the imagery Jesus is drawing on. Well, I mean, it kind of works. They've just had bread, and they're discussing the fact that they don't have bread. He said, look, watch out for the spoil and the rot of the Pharisees and of Herod. Now, and others other gospels will say this is hypocrisy. Really, what Jesus is getting at here, and what he's trying to drive home to his disciples, is be careful. Be on your guard. Don't let these things kind of come in from outside and poison everything. You need to make sure that you have what is right and what is good. Don't let those things that are outside affect you. But they miss it. And they start thinking, is he mad at us because we didn't bring any leaven or didn't bring any bread? But he says, look, I'm not worried about bread. And he starts saying, look, don't you understand? And this is really where we're going to get over the next couple of really the rest of the chapter 8 here. Understanding, do they get it? Do they really get it? I think here we get the hint. They don't quite get it all yet. They understand part, but they don't really get all it means. They get a little bit, but they don't get the rest. And that's where Jesus is really pushing here and there. So, what does this tell us about Jesus? Well, it tells us he is concerned for us. He wants to make sure that we're not being unduly influenced. We're not being corrupted from outside. He has compassion and kindness and grace for us. But at the same time, he wasn't afraid to call a spade a spade. Be careful of this terrible stuff. So that's what it sort of gives us a picture of Jesus. And what does it tell us about ourselves? Well, it tells us we can be easily corrupted. Just letting a little bit of that coming in, a little bit here, and before you know it, it really takes off in our lives. But it also tells us we can be really slow sometimes. Sometimes God does something in our lives and it's amazing and we miss it. I think that's one of the things we have to be careful of. So what does this call us to? Well, it calls us to evaluate our hearts. Are those outside unhealthy influences really penetrating our hearts? And are we truly following here? Are we being slow, or are we really trying to be on the same page as Jesus? All right, well, time's up. So much more to say on that, but hey, I pray you're having a great week, and we will see you back here tomorrow, Thursday, as we hop back into the gospel. All right.